and I would drive down a lot of times and engineer some of their stuff for them. Boy, they about wore us out. And they came to the Bakersfield, our studios there. I bought a church, or a schoolhouse that had been, and a church that had been, and put my studios in there, and I cut a lot of stuff on Bonnie Owens, and we cut a lot of demos that Gene Moe's guitar player wrote for the Ventures, and we recorded his demos there. And I also did a group called Jim Duvall and the Gauchos in my studios there. They were the staff band at a big network show called Shindig.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that when I was a kid.
Anyway, I've been there a long time. So
Well, listen,
I feel it today.
Well, yeah, but you've got all the experience to
I have had, and I developed when I went to Oregon, I developed a fellow that was doing jazz, and then I developed a group, a rock group, a young rock group. And when I left there in 1980, I gave them all their master tapes and their mixes and everything, and they took it to Hollywood, and Gene Simmons from Kiss signed them and produced them and stuff. So they continued, and they got to be a very big group. New Shoes. And the jazz group is Jeff Lorber Fusion. He had a couple of #1s nationwide on Arista that we cut there in my place in Oregon. And I also did, I had a #1 record of the year country thing with Red Simpson, the Hello I'm a Truck album, and then several albums
remember
after
it
that.
well, yeah.
So I remember it well. Once in a while I get a little tiny check still.
Now listen, when Capitol out of LA hired you to work on some of the sessions, who were some of the people that you used to work with in those days?
Well, Bill Woods did a lot of stuff there, and he hired me for some of the stuff. Took me as the acoustic player on occasion, and I believe, if I remember right, he was session leader on the Gene Shepard stuff. And we cut, I think the first time I ever went down and recorded probably was with Gene Shepard and Bill Woods and those guys. And we cut a #1 song that day called Satisfied Mind. And that was, then
big song.
We had some more stuff. I was on, I think Beautiful Lies was another big record of hers back in those days. So, and Buck, some of the things, I mean, sometimes he'd be playing guitar on electric on some of the stuff, and I'd be playing rhythm. And one time I was playing the lead, and he was sitting there in a chair next to me, and he's playing rhythm. I said, Buck, I feel kind of strange here. You're playing rhythm today, and I'm playing lead. He said, it don't matter what you play, Gene, just as long as you're on the session. As a matter of fact, that day that I was there on that session, and I think I was session leader that day on a country duet thing that a couple of guys were doing. And that's the same day that Ken Nelson called Buck Owens aside and signed to Capitol.
Wow. So that really launched his career then as a recording artist, didn't it?
Actually, it did. He recorded several things. Well, all the Bill Woods, I even recorded a thing down there that I'd written that bothered me so long. I recorded a little record and probably pressed 100, you know, but, and Fuzzy and those guys were on an independent thing. Merle was, and I think Buck might have been on a label called Pep. I can't remember for sure, but anyway, and Bonnie Owens was on the small labels, but distributed in the San Joaquin Valley, there were lots of places to work. So that I enjoyed all the dance halls playing with Buck because we played completely free. And he had a Telecaster guitar with a Fender amplifier on 9 High Bright, and I had kind of a real nice jazz Gibson that I got from Roy Nichols. So he'd walk in front of his amp and cut your britches legs almost. You know, so. But I got me a Telecaster later. I was endorsed by Standell Amplifier Company then, so my stuff was really straight ahead. But boy, they'll get to you.
Well, it's great that all you professionals were together working. Now you bring that same kind of crew here at your studios in Nashville, in that you hire the best people to work with you, the best musicians, the best songwriters if they're needed by somebody,
Right.
And you certainly are the producer if the client wants to hire you as a producer, and you bring all that experience. But tell me about some of the people that you have here at the studio today that have the same heavy credentials that you as people that you've worked with over all these years.
I've got a couple of, like for the piano, I've got a couple of 3 different players I would call, depending on, like there's one I use for your contemporary Christian that I use, and there's one I use for your really stretched out country stuff. And then I've got another one that if it's kind of a modern pop sounding situation, I use another piano player for that. I've got 2 or 3 drummers that I call. But I put the teams together depending on, after I hear the CD of whoever's coming in to record, then I know who to hire and put as a team. Like, I don't know what bass player to use.
Isn't that the producer's job to do this kind of thing?
Actually, yes, it is. Yeah, and the producer is a very important piece of the gear in a session, but you can only get out of what you have on the floor to work with. As a producer, you can be the best in the world, and you put a band up there that doesn't click together in a studio group, and you don't have anything. So it's 6 one, half dozen another. You have to have the crew.
What do you do if somebody calls a studio and they really don't know how to get started and they think they have a song or two? Don't you invite them in and sit down and let them kind of talk it over with you, and you try to guide them a little bit in the right direction?
I still do that. Nobody else hardly does that anymore because it's such a time factor. If somebody sends me a CD, I can take 5 minutes of my time and listen to the song. But if they come in for a visit, it's an hour of my time, 45 minutes or an hour, because I can't just say, because he's got questions, and thank God I have the answer for almost anything. I've been in it since dirt, almost water.
Well, that's why I'm here, because I appreciate the experience. I can ask you a question about something, and you'll know the answer to it because you have all these years in the business. So I appreciate that.
Well, and if I don't know the answer, I know somebody that does. Over the years.
That's great.
So it works. Give us a call.
615-883-5446.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
You like that?
Yeah.